Why are people suddenly obsessed with gluing paper into books? And what is junk journaling? There's something strange happening right now. We are surrounded by more stimulation than ever before, but somehow we feel less connected to our own lives. We constantly consume, constantly scroll, and images start passing by faster than our brains can even process them. And after a while, all this stuff feels temporary, disposable, and forgettable. Junk journaling feels different. It slows our attention down and we get to touch things, arrange things, layer them. We get to physically interact with ideas and our brains react to that. And not just emotionally, but physically. Texture begins to matter. A screen gives us stimulation, but a tactile creativity gives us presence. There are millions of us that are collecting scraps of paper and turning them into keepsake books. We're using old receipts, fabric, notes, packaging, photographs, and tiny fragments that most people would throw away, and yet we are making something that is meaningful. But I don't really think that it's wholeheartedly about crafting. It's more about what modern life is doing to us because the more digital our lives become, the more emotionally valuable physical things start to feel. And maybe that's why something as simple as paper starts to feel important again. Maybe you're 20 years old and you've been journaling since middle school and you're looking for something more, something that feels like you, not just the words on a page. Maybe you're in your 40s and your kids are almost grown and you're standing at the edge of this strange new quiet and you're thinking, okay, now what? Who am I if I'm not needed every second? Maybe you're retired in your 60s or almost there, and you want to do something with your hands, something that matters, something that connects you to beauty, memory, and yourself. And I want to talk to all three of you because I've been all three of you in different ways at different times. And something that has met me with every single one of those places is junk journaling. I started off in the scrapbooking realm, and there weren't a ton of supplies when I first started, so I started making my own. And as the craft grew, I grew with it into paper crafting, art journaling, and eventually into here with junk journaling. This world of layered paper and vintage portraits and sheet music and lace and things that carry a little bit of history in them, and I have never looked back. So, what is junk journaling? If you were to ask 10 different people what junk journaling is, I have a suspicion that you're going to get 10 different answers. And the beautiful thing is, they're all right. Some people are purist and they believe that junk journaling is only using things that are items that would be discarded into the garbage. Coffee sleeves, cereal boxes, envelopes, paper bags, receipts, labels, and they turn those things into pages. And there's almost something sacred about that, taking something that's rescued and giving it new life. Some people only use old ephemera that they get at estate sales or thrift stores and lay that down on paper. And then there's some people like me who work in more of the collage art space. I like to use vintage ephemera as well as digitals, old and new photographs, even if they're of strangers, dictionary pages, fabric, lace, anything that feels like it has a story and I'm just adding the next chapter to it. But the truth is that all of it counts, all of it belongs because junk journaling isn't defined by what you put in it, it's defined by what it does to you while you're making it. Here's the thing that junk journaling does. As you sit down to make a page, somewhere in the middle of tearing paper and choosing what goes where, you forget about that anxiety. You forget to check your phone. You forget the list of things that are there waiting for you to do that you haven't done yet. Those dishes, vacuuming, whatever those things are. But you're there. You are making something with your hands, something that is beautiful. You don't have to worry about an algorithm, whether it's good or not, whether you're getting comments, whether it's any kind of metrics. It's just you and the page. And the loveliest part about junk journaling is that these pages will outlast you. Someone is going to hold them someday and feel you in them. The things that you found beautiful, the things that you thought were worth keeping, they are going to enjoy. And sometimes I get asked, well, what do you do with all these journals and what's going to happen? And this is something that I've thought a lot about. And as a matter of fact, when I've gone into estate sales, sometimes I get sad about all the things that the families don't want and they are just donating all of it, even family photos that they think is just junk or it's going to junk up their house. But here I am, I come along and I swoop those things up and I cherish them and I love them. And so if you're feeling like, well, my kids or grandkids or friends or whomever isn't going to want this, there's somebody like me that's going to be scouting out thrift stores and antique stores and estate sales, hoping to get my hands on your precious memories that I will cherish. And I think some of you can relate with me, right? That we love those things. And maybe you're watching this today and you are feeling something, but you're also thinking that you're not artistic, that you don't have an eye for that. You don't have all of the ephemera, you don't have all of the special glues and the different things that go on pages. But I wanted to tell you that I used to be that person. I felt the exact same way. And you watching my channel might not think that, but there was a time where I was so unartistic that I would bring home my artwork for my mom to do because I was so bad. I wouldn't even try. And I don't remember trying, but I remember the feeling of thinking that I couldn't do it. And so she was always artistic. And as a matter of fact, her whole side of the family has been very artistic, but I just assumed it didn't come to me. I didn't have that gene, I didn't have that love. And it wasn't until I took an art class in high school where I discovered my love of art. It was through a sweet teacher that saw potential in me that I did not see in myself. And she gave me enough confidence to start looking at the world in a different lens. And I hope to be able to do that for you today. As far as supplies go, you don't have to have everything. Start with what you do have and make sure that you check out my description box below this video because I have a lot of free resources for you as well as free printables that can get you started today. I also have a lot of videos on my page that can be useful, from how to make pockets, inserts, tip-ins, and so much more. So make sure that if you're not already subscribed, you subscribe to the channel and you go get yourself a yummy bev and enjoy. Junk journaling is also very flexible, and I think this is the part why people stay connected to it so deeply. It's because it's not a strict art form, it's more of visual thinking or emotional collecting. It's taking fragments of your attention and arranging them in a way that is tangible and that starts to feel like yours. And I think that's maybe why people become so emotionally attached to these books, because they're not really making journals, they're making evidence of their inner world. Where our regular lives feel fragmented with notifications, tabs, algorithms, short form content, long form content, constant interruption, our attention gets broken into pieces all day long. And junk journaling does something that is psychologically interesting. It takes these fragments and turns them into coherence. It takes these tiny disconnected things that suddenly belong together. A receipt next to fabric, a handwritten note besides a photograph, an old book page with some watercolor on top of it. And somehow our brains experience satisfaction from organizing these little bits of chaos. And it's not because it's productive or because we need to for an algorithm. There's no performance metric, there's no pressure for efficiency. It's just our observation, our choices, our attention, our arrangement. And honestly, that feels increasingly rare today. One of the strangest things about junk journaling is that perfection usually makes it worse. The cleaner something becomes, the less emotionally interesting it often feels. And this is something I talk about all the time. When I let myself go into that flow state where I'm just creating, even if it's not perfect, when I look back at those pages, I enjoy them so much more than the ones that I'm so precious about. And I want to make sure that I get every corner perfect. The crooked edges start to feel more human, the wrinkles, the layers, the worn and tattered feel that we want. And I think that it says something important about us. Digital life rewards polish, but human beings are emotionally connected to the evidence of touch. It's this presence that we can feel when we've spent time with something. In a world that feels so mass produced, handmade objects are emotionally alive. And I think that this surge of the internet and all things online accidentally created the perfect conditions for junk journaling to explode. And that's why millions of us are obsessed with gluing paper down on books because we are overwhelmed, not just by information, but by endless consumption. We can spend hours online looking at beautiful things without creating anything for ourselves. And eventually, we crave authorship, not just consumption. And that's why a craft like junk journaling feels different. It's because we stop passively absorbing aesthetics and start shaping them for ourselves. We become observers, archivists, storytellers, and all of a sudden, our attention leaves a physical trace. That is powerful. And I think people call it junk journaling, even though I don't love that name because it's not junk. Even if it's something that was meant to go into the garbage, to me, it's beauty. It's not junk at all. But these things that we call junk, they are materials that started off as ordinary things. But emotionally, it's doing the opposite to us. And we begin to start to notice life, to save little fragments, to preserve the atmosphere. We hold on to these little moments before they disappear. And honestly, I don't think people are only documenting memories anymore. I think it's more of documenting emotional texture, the feeling of a season, a favorite song, a phase of life, a little tiny version of ourselves. These journals become physical evidence that someone existed in a certain emotional landscape. And maybe that's why people are attached to them because they contain time, attention, presence. And maybe junk journaling looks strange from the outside, a pile of paper scraps that are glued onto a book. But maybe that simplicity is exactly why it matters because modern life increasingly pushes us towards speed, toward optimization, consumption efficiency, endless scrolling. And junk journaling quietly asks us to do the opposite, to slow down, to notice, to arrange meaning, to interact physically with beauty again, to make something imperfect but personal. And maybe that's why people love it. That's why I love it. And not because the paper itself is important, but because our attention is. And in this world that is designed to constantly pull our attention away from us, there's something that is deep and lovely about choosing where our attention actually goes. I want to thank you for being here today. And I want to remind you today, in case no one has told you, you are lovely. You are beautiful. Your art deserves to be seen and heard, even if the algorithm doesn't agree. Everything that you create is perfect because it's made by you. And there's only one of you. But most importantly, I want to remind you that you are loved unconditionally, no matter what. Until next time, love you. Bye.